Skiplagging. Have you heard of it? It's a controversial travel hack which could save you money or get you booted from an airline. Here's how it works. So let's say, for example, you're planning on booking a flight from Toronto to Calgary. So you look it up, and it says it's going to cost you $700. But you might also be able to book a flight to Vancouver with a layover in Calgary for $500. So some people book the cheaper flight, get off in Calgary, skip the next leg of the flight. But is it worth the risk? For more on this, we're joined from Montreal by Carl Moore, Associate Professor at McGill University. Good morning.
Good morning, Lindsey.
Is this allowed?
It is, generally. There might be some airlines who don't allow it in terms of their terms and conditions, though they rarely push people on this. It may be more of a concern for frequent flyers. So I just spent about 6 flights in the last week or so and got to spend some time in the Air Canada Lounge in Calgary and Vancouver, and that's a real nice benefit. They might take that benefit away from you. So I think you can, certainly if you don't travel a lot, you can probably get away without a problem, though there's a small risk there that the airline might come after you, but I think it's a pretty small risk here in Canada.
But could they potentially ban you from the airline?
Yeah, that hasn't really happened much at all, and I think you'd have to really abuse it a lot. So I think it's largely below their radar, if you would. But a frequent flyer would take some care to do it. And it's some airlines don't like, they're aware of it, and if it happens more and more, they'll take more action in the future.
How often do airlines crack down on people who try this? Do you know?
Fairly rarely. It's not something they're going to do a lot of. But if the phenomena grows, it's going to cost them money more and more, then it may be more of an issue for them. But at this point, not a big deal.
So this was new to me, but I'm told this has been around for a while. So why are we hearing about it now?
Well, something where more and more, because I mean, the internet's been around a long time, Lindsey, obviously, but it's something where more and more people are traveling. It's getting expensive to travel. Airfares are at record levels. Planes are very busy, and people are out there enjoying travel, and they're probably more aware of it. And these things kind of spread on the internet, and the Generation Z particularly aware of that, and word spreads among the Zs of some ways of hacking travel and making it a little bit less expensive. So given the times we're in, that makes sense. It's going to spread a bit more rapidly than a few years ago.
Some people may be wondering why the flight from Toronto to Vancouver costs less than the flight from Toronto to Calgary. What would you say?
Well, it's because of pricing. So they spend a lot of money on data analytics and AI these days at the airline to get the pricing the best possible so the airlines can make money. Now, they had the worst time possible during aviation history in COVID and lost hundreds of millions of dollars. It was really tough times. So in some ways, they've got to make up for those difficult times by making a bit more profit. And they are businesses after all. They're traded on the stock exchange, or WestJet is owned by Onyx, a big investment firm out of Toronto. So they're in business to make money, and that's fair enough. And so they use dynamic pricing in order to get the most revenue from the market they can for each individual seat. So pricing will be different depending when you buy the ticket and how you approach it.
Speaking of approach, let's say you do decide to use this travel hack. Would you notify the staff there that you're doing it, or you just walk right off?
Well, one is don't have luggage.
Yeah, of course.
Other than carry on, because the luggage didn't show up in Vancouver, then you have a problem there. But most people these days, I had 6 flights in the last 10 days, a lot of carry-on luggage. A lot of people these days, including our own family, travel without any luggage below. So that's more and more of a common phenomena. So one, don't do that. And probably most people just walk away. They don't want to get into a conversation. They don't want to flag it to Air Canada, WestJet, Airport, or whoever what they're doing. So most people would, if you're going to do this, you're just going to walk away and leave it up to the airline to deal with it.
It is fascinating. Carl Moore, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.